Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're looking at a really pivotal moment, the 2011 capture of that US RQ-170 Sentinel drone by Iran.
Right. And it's fascinating because this wasn't just losing a piece of hardware. It was more like, well, a forced technology transfer that really shifted things.
Exactly. Our mission here is sort of unpack how losing this one aircraft kicked off such huge changes, even impacting conflicts today. So this RQ-170, sometimes called the Beast of Kandahar, developed by Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, super secret stuff,
Hmm.
a tailless flying wing, stealthy, designed for high-risk missions, deep penetration, like keeping eyes on Iran's nuclear program.
And the key thing, the reason it was so valuable wasn't just the stealth, it was what it carried
The
inside.
payload.
Exactly. We're talking hyperspectral sensors. These things could sniff out tiny, tiny traces of radioactive isotopes, chemicals, stuff you need to monitor nuclear activity.
So incredibly sensitive gear.
Oh, yeah. This drone was involved in providing surveillance during the bin Laden raid in Pakistan earlier that same year, 2011. So a critical asset. Okay, set the scene. December 4th, 2011, the Sentinel's flying deep over Iran. And then, poof, command is lost.
Contact as drops.
And very quickly, Iran comes forward. They say, we got it. And a few days later, they actually show it on state TV, and it looks, well, remarkably intact.
Which is the crux of the whole technical mystery, right? How did they get it down in one piece, more or less?
Iran pushed a specific narrative, didn't they? An electronic ambush.
Yeah, that was their claim, GPS spoofing. They said they jammed the satellite command link, forcing the drone into its autonomous, pre-programmed return to base mode.
Okay.
And then, crucially, they claimed they fed it fake GPS signals, basically tricking it into thinking it was landing back at its actual base in Afghanistan when it was really landing, maybe a bit hard, but landing at their base.
But the U.S. side wasn't buying that, was it?
Yeah.
Experts pointed to the onboard systems.
Right. The U.S. position generally was that it was likely an internal malfunction. They were skeptical about the GPS spoofing claim because these advanced military drones rely heavily on an inertial navigation system, the INS. Explain that a bit. Why is INS different?
Well, INS is totally self-contained. It uses gyroscopes, accelerometers. It figures out where it is based on its own movements, not by listening to external signals like GPS. So theoretically, it should be immune to jamming or spoofing from the outside.
Okay, so you have these two clashing stories. Iran claims electronic warfare genius. The U.S. suggests a simple malfunction.
But the big problem for the simple malfunction theory is that intact airframe Iran displayed.
Right. It didn't look like it just fell out of the sky.
Exactly. An uncontrolled crash, you'd expect wreckage, debris. This looked landed. So whether it was the GPS spoofing working somehow or some other vulnerability, that intact drone proved something went very wrong for the U.S. technically. A critical vulnerability was found and exploited.
And that technical point immediately became a huge propaganda win for Iran.
Oh, massive. They displayed it under that banner, the U.S. cannot do a damn thing, real poke in the eye.
And it got even more awkward when President Obama actually publicly asked for the drone back.
Which Iran, predictably, just scoffed at, a major diplomatic humiliation on top of the intelligence loss.
But the consequences went way beyond just embarrassment, didn't they? This kicked off serious proliferation.
Absolutely. This is where it gets strategically important. Iran didn't just put the drone in a museum, they took it apart. They reverse engineered it.
So they learned how it worked.
And more. They learned about its advanced composite materials, the radar-absorbent coatings, the specific aerodynamic design. This let them create a whole family of drones based on it. You had the Shahed-171 Seaborg, which is pretty much a direct copy.
A 1.1 scale replica.
Yeah, and then smaller armed versions like the Shahed-191 Siga. They turned a captured surveillance drone into the basis for their own attack drone program.
So that one capture basically jump-started Iran's drone industry, turning them into a major player.
It massively accelerated it.
Okay.
And you see the direct lineage today. That industrial capacity, that design philosophy, arguably helped fuel the development and mass production of drones like the Shahed-136.
The ones we're seeing used extensively by Russia in Ukraine.
Precisely. So the loss of that one Sentinel over Iran in 2011 is directly connected to the character of warfare, over a decade later in a completely different conflict. It's quite the chain reaction.
And the U.S. response, they must have scrambled after this.
Oh, definitely. It was a huge wake-up call. The intelligence community, the military, they realized how vulnerable some of these assets potentially were. It triggered a kind of never-again mentality.
Meaning?
Massive new investment in hardening UAVs against electronic attack, improving data links, making navigation systems more resilient. and likely accelerating development of the next generation of stealth platforms like the RQ-180, designed with these kinds of threats in mind from the start.
So a costly lesson learned.
Very costly. And maybe the final thought here, the really provocative thing, is how this incident sort of democratized advanced aerospace technology.
How do you mean?
Well, Iran proved you didn't necessarily need decades of R&D if you could capture and successfully replicate a cutting-edge system. It showed the technology gap could be bridged, maybe not easily, but bridged.
Through capture and reverse engineering.
Exactly. And now think about the future. How many conflicts might be shaped by this dynamic? Masses of relatively inexpensive replicated drones, potentially overwhelming, very sophisticated, very expensive air defense systems, that whole strategic equation. You can trace the key part of it right back to that one drone coming down in the Iranian desert in 2011. Makes you think, doesn't it?